In Masjid al-Haram, which methodology do they follow? Direction or shortest distance? The Muslims that are praying outside Masjid al-Haram, they are facing the wall of the masjid in direction to the Kaaba. They are not facing the entrance to the door to get to the Kaaba via shortest distance. Do you have common sense? Some misguided deviant claimers say common sense shows every human being that the direction of Qibla is the shortest distance. Their claim is extremely shocking, full of lies, and contrary to what is evidenced. If their saying had been correct, then the old mosques would have faced towards the direction of northeast or northwest. However, the old mosques face southeast. The older Muslim cemeteries in which Muslims were buried prior to 1937, such as the Old Sacramento Cemetery in California and the Truro Cemetery in Nova Scotia Province, Canada, stand as evidence that the Muslims used to face southeast for their Qibla. Furthermore, if their saying had been correct, there would not have been a difference among the Muslims in the USA and Canada on the issue of al-Qibla. After the Muslims came to North America and their groups became sizable, it was only natural for them to endeavor to establish mosques. Based on the fatwa of the scholars of the Muslim countries, all of the maharib of these mosques and musallayat were facing southeast without exception. Some 36 years ago, and specifically between 1973 and 74, Kamal al-Abdali published a book in which he mentioned that the direction of Qibla in USA and Canada is northeast. In North America, those who negate at-tawassul, along with members of a group known as al-Ikhwan al-Muslimin, were impressed with this book and adopted it as their usual habit with deviant matters. They spread and promoted that book with all that it contains, which fragments the unity, divides the word of the Muslims, and perverts the religion. They did all this under the name of al-Islam. Some trustworthy Muslims spoke with Kamal al-Abdali in person, the author of the book, and asked him about the religious evidences he relied on in producing his book. His answer was, "I did not study religious studies. However, I have relied on the spherical triangular calculations." Are you a part of the complete circle formation? Notice how the Muslims face the Qibla, forming a complete circle around the Kaaba. That complete circle must continue to be formed in prayer, even when you are thousands and thousands of miles away, so that you are part of the expanded circle around the world. A curve is not a straight line. North America, Canada, and the US is located north or south of Mecca. Do not be fooled when misguided claimers show you a top view of the globe, claiming northeast is a straight line to Mecca. They are misleading you and lying to you. Distance and direction are not the same. A curve is distance, and direction is a single straight line. If you look at your initial position facing north on the curve, that would be your final direction, because direction does not curve as distance does. If you wanted to face the other side of the earth, you would face going through the earth in one direct straight line. A curve follows hundreds of small varying directions to travel from right to left. If you simply face the center in direction, you automatically bypass the curve, which is distance, in one direction. Shortest distance was not unknown to the Muslim scholars whose sayings we mentioned, who knew precisely that the shape of the earth was oblate. Some scholars lived long after Columbus had discovered America in the year 898 after Hijrah. Among such scholars are Shamsuddin al-Ramli al-Shafi'i, Muhammad Arafa al-Dusuqi, al-Sheikh Muhammad Ulaysh al-Maliki, Mansur ibn Yunus al-Buhuti al-Hanbali, and Ibn Abidin al-Hanafi. If common sense had shown every human being that the direction of Qibla was the shortest distance, Al-Azhar of Egypt would not have ruled recently that the Qibla for those in the USA and Canada is actually southeast. So what do the adopters of this false opinion say about that? Isn't it common sense to follow the ruling of Al-Azhar and face southeast? Who will you believe? President and Imam of Al-Azhar? Or Kamal al-Abdali? Or your local Imam in North America? We read a letter sent to the Canadian Al-Mir'at newspaper by one of those complex, intelligent pretenders, in which he has the nerve to reject the ruling of Al-Azhar that stated al-Qibla for those in Canada is southeast. In his letter, he confessed that the maharib of the old mosques of Canada were directed southeast, and that the spherical geometry is complex and lay Muslims do not comprehend it. Innovator of Misguidance, Kamal al-Abdali. Towards the end of his letter, he listed his qualifications that would justify him addressing such an issue. However, we did not find any more than a degree in engineering, specialty not mentioned, chief editor of a magazine, and a board member of one of the organizations. There was no mention of acquiring religious knowledge from any of the reliable scholars or earned a recognized degree from them. Furthermore, his extreme inadequacy in understanding the statements of the scholars and their terminology led him to mention names of books as reference on the subject of time and determining Qibla that actually contradicted him. The authors of these books stand as witnesses to his mistake. Can you imagine if we lived on the moon? What would the Muslims do if they had to make ijtihad from the moon? Well, I would start by facing the earth. Allahu Akbar. We don't live on the moon, and some Muslims have problems making ijtihad. Kamal al-Abdali quoted as his reference Abu al-Abbas Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Uthman al-Azdi al-Marakishi, him saying regarding the issue of al-Qibla, quote, I conclude that al-Qibla for the people of the West among the northern region from Mecca is in the southeastern quarter, and he who prays to the southwestern quarter is certainly mistaken, and likewise he is mistaken if he prays to one of the two northern quarters. As you can see, his saying is completely in accordance with our saying, and totally contradicting the saying of Kamal al-Abdali. The issue of religion today, with a great deal of pity, is being tackled by whoever wants to without proper guidelines or supervision. If you need to fix your car, wouldn't you find a specialist? If you needed open heart surgery, would you do it yourself or search out the best surgeons to do it for you? However, with regard to answering religious questions without knowledge, these people are very aggressive and daring. To them, speaking without knowledge is as easy as sipping from a glass of water. Sadly, you'd find them very keen on adhering to the deviant teachings, despite if these teachings contradict the sayings of ancient scholars. Abu Ali al-Daqqaq said, He who keeps silent from speaking the truth is a mute devil. Therefore, we shall not be silent about those people